There's a difference between being a nerd and being a fan of something, and then considering yourself like a subject matter expert, right? Which, like, people on the internet, they automatically just, I guess, assume you're a subject matter expert. I don't know. It's all out of context half the time anyway. But anyway, another episode.
Yes.
Long time coming. Took me a long time to go actually see it, actually watch it, even though I'm a huge fan of the whole universe. I don't know. What do you call it? The Dune-iverse? The Dune-verse? I don't know. What do you call it? Let us know in the comments. What do you call this whole universe?
This world is beyond cruelty. You've been fighting the Harkonnens for decades. My family's been fighting them for centuries. They were massacred alongside my father.
Your father didn't believe in revenge. We believe in Fremen.
Let me fight beside you.
Reload!
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I never saw any of these until the first one came out.
Well, and by the first one, you mean Dune Part 1.
Dune Part 1.
Because that's definitely not the first one. The first one that came out before I was even born.
Yeah, that stuff's too old for me.
Yeah. When were you born?
83?
Yeah, you were 1 when the original Dune came out, 1984. Yeah, that's crazy. Double check my stats. Yeah, that was when the original movie miniseries came out. However, not the books, obviously.
Everyone talked about it. It just wasn't my thing. It felt like a Star Wars ripoff.
Really?
Yeah.
Because they're so different. Star Wars has a very clear good and evil hero's journey, where Dune is this chaotic space opera. It's no, I don't think they're anything alike. Let us know in the comments. Do you guys draw comparisons, or do you think they're total opposites?
Giant sandworms, magical swords, sun being guided with mystical powers.
No, not quite. Yeah, there's like the one scene where the worm comes out of the asteroid in A New Hope. And then on Tatooine, there's the worm that lives underground that eats things. Forget its name. Let us know in the comments. But there's no center around this elusive
These are spice silos.
like drug that they're, substance that these things make. I can see where you draw the like father-son dynamic, but even then, you don't. Leto, the Duke that dies so quickly that you don't even really get to know him. The true, you're not this far into it, but the true story is really Paul and his children. So it's like Paul, you know what I can see now that I'm talking about it out loud and thinking it through? Phantom Menace is Dune, because you're meeting a young Paul before he becomes Anakin.
It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them. Bring balance to the Force, not leave it in darkness. I hate you.
Before he becomes Darth Vader. So it's pretty cool that I can see, but you wouldn't know that. So it's like I don't get it.
I was going to say, so he becomes evil then, huh?
No. So I'm trying to draw conclusions, but no, Paul never becomes evil. But that's the thing about Dune, is that Dune doesn't draw lines on good and evil. There is no like good or evil, because the Atreides are just as vicious as the Harkonnen.
Kill them all.
They're just, the Harkonnen are set up to be the ones who do the act, to be malicious. But all the big houses are screwed up, cutthroat, want to be in power, including the Emperor's house, which is the Carrinos. He's a Carrino, which is another one of the big houses. But yeah, I don't see necessarily Star Wars. I can draw connections if I really try, but the plots and the stories are so different.
So what do you think that they got right with the second one versus watching the originals that you liked?
Well, see, that's the thing, is that when you're talking sci-fi and you're talking creating alien worlds and alien creatures and cultures and, weaponry, that was so limited back in the 80s or even the early 2000s, which is when I was introduced to it. Like the CGI and all of that was like, This was the first time, I think, that I've seen a film version of Dune, not like a AI rendered art or anything like that, but a true like cinematic version where the worms looked cool. Like all hail Shai Hulud, those things are freaking awesome. And so I think that part was cool. I think the accuracy from the books, and this is, where I definitely lean heavily on those guys who are subject matter experts. But from what I've read and learned throughout my deep time, like learning about this, is that the outfits, the thopters, everything about the sets and the costumes were so on point for building out that world that it was like, really good for cinematically to watch. So yeah.
Cool. So who was your favorite character? Or not in terms of, I guess, character so much as
Most growth.
most growth, yeah.
Well, I mean, Paul has the biggest shifts.
He said that. I got that. Thanks.
In the series. Let's see. Lady Jessica, who becomes the Reverend Mother.
We gave them something to hope for.
She has a crazy arc, which is different than the early movie that came out was slightly different than the one we just watched, right? So Alia, the little sister, isn't born yet in the new one. In the old one, she's born. She kills the Baron, and this one, Paul kills the Baron. So there was like different aspects to it. So Paul's journey actually got to have more of an arc because of that, because Alia wasn't just like this little demon child running around. So I really think that Paul had the most growth, but then again, the story was focused on him, so that makes sense. I love that, obviously I knew it was going to happen, but they brought Gurney back. So, he plays the guy who plays Thanos. I can't think of his name.
He also plays Cable.
Yeah, why can't I think of his name?
I can't either at the moment. I was literally just reading up about him being pissed off that Ryan Reynolds didn't bring Cable back into Deadpool vs. Wolverine.
I can't wait to watch that one. But yeah, regardless, I can't think of his name right now. I'm drawing a freaking blank. He plays Gurney, which is like the head of security for the Atreides family. And he comes back, and his banter between him and Paul, I think, is really fun.
Josh Brolin.
Sorry, Josh Brolin. I'm a phenomenal actor, so you drew a blank. But yeah, I think their banter together is fun. The relationship between Chani.
I won't be fighting for him. I'm fighting for my people.
Which is Zendaya's character. And Paul's character is very different in the book, like in the books, from what I know, and from the early series, the early movies and miniseries that I've watched. She never, ever goes against Paul. Where at the end of the one we just watched, she basically rode off on a sandworm as like, peace, I can't be a part of your holy war. Which in every other version, she is just...
You think that's going against him?
Yeah, she literally told him, I can't be a part of your war. You're going to you're sending my people to die, and I'm not going to be a part of this.
But look what he did. I'm going to marry her. This other person, just after he told this woman that he loved her.
No, he did it because he knew he was going to have to marry her. He knew, so he tells her, no matter what happens, just know I always love you.
Yes.
Because he knew he was going to have to marry the princess.
How do you expect someone to frickin' feel?
Empress? I don't know what she is.
How would you feel?
And their culture's not used to that. Culturally, the Fremen don't do that, right? So it was very off for her. Yeah, you could tell she was really upset.
Understandable.
Yeah, so we get it as an audience. It doesn't seem off to us, right? That's the reaction she had. But if you compare it to all previous timelines of Chani, it's very different.
Okay.
Very different. She's like #1 OG supporter.
Chani, do you believe in me?
Like Stilgar, he's like biggest fan of Paul.
What you believe, I believe.
That's actually Chani in the older ones. He's like the #1 fan. Yeah.
That was really weird how if it's who I'm thinking about, yeah, it is. He was just like forced it to be like, oh, this is prophecy.
It's not a prophecy. It's a story.
Right? That guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He was one of the leading components, him and Lady Jessica, by like turning the Fremen into religious zealots, because there was the tribe in the south where he's from that were like full-blown zealots, believed the prophecy, breathed that everything was prophecy. But the further you went north, the more nomadic tribes didn't believe it, right? Like Zendaya's tribe's all warriors, and they don't care, they don't believe that. But as time went on in the movie and Lady Jessica spread the word, the entire Fremen become indoctrinated to it.
The whole zealot mentality just makes me get ick vibes.
Ultimately, that's who Paul's supposed to be. His character is supposed to represent the awareness and the warning of what happens when we blindly follow one person's beliefs. We don't question it. We don't allow room for other opinions. We just blindly snuff everything out. That's what Paul's about to go do, right? He's about to start a holy war so that he can be the one in charge.
Because you lose control. Because I gain it.
And then he was like the reluctant hero for that, though, right? Because he didn't want it. He knew so many millions of people were going to die if he did this. But then also he realized it's the only way to get what I want. And so he just gives in. And I love that later in, like, his arc is so awesome. So later in the books, like, it's awesome what happens because of what he does now.
See, I appreciate the fact that he was this reluctant, but I felt like the movies, the ones that I've seen so far, these two only...
It's just basically book one is what you've seen.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I've seen so far, I like what they made him reluctant. I feel like they failed in how quickly they had him pivot.
Okay.
They could have, but again, I get that it's a super long freaking movie.
Yeah.
And so I understand time-wise, they needed to maybe speed up the process a little bit, but I feel like that needed a little bit more hesitancy or build up the hesitancy from the character and visual elements.
Okay. I didn't grasp that same thing. For me, he was hesitant to even go south because he knew what was going to happen. Mm-hmm. And most of the movie, Rick refuses to go. And then eventually he has to go. And then when he's there, the big shift is when he drinks the water of life.
Because all my visions lead to horror.
Because once he drinks the water of life, all the visions that were just kind of like snippets go full HD form, right? So we can see the whole movie from front to back. And that's when he was like, I'm going to do this thing, but it's really going to suck.
His mom wanted him to be this person the whole time.
Well, from the very first time you meet her, she's training him at the freaking dinner table, the breakfast table.
How dare you use the voice on me?
Use the voice, or I'm not going to give it to you. Yeah, she's been training him since birth to be this thing. Yes.
I wasn't a big fan of her character. She's very conniving.
Oh, yeah, she's Bene Gesserit.
And at the same time, she does have these good qualities, like she genuinely cares.
Yeah.
So I kind of agree with what you're saying of it's not so cut and dry. Mm-hmm. I mean, hell, look at Batista's character. When enough was enough, he was a whipping boy, and then I kind of got to stand up for myself at one point.
I don't think he ever really does it. I think he wants to, but his character is very different than what David Bautista Manoglou would play, because he's actually like a very cowardice person. The character he plays, where, you know, his brother, who is like the man, the guy Austin Butler plays.
Fucking psycho.
Yeah.
Fucking psycho.
I'm sure we'll get to him in a moment. But just want to tie back to Lady Jessica really quick, because you said she's caring and compassionate, but she's also very conniving and obviously a puppet master. And so that's because she's Bene Gesserit. Right? Like, that is who the Bene Gesserit are. They are basically a clan of witches, or a society of witches, whose sole goal is like to see out this prophecy of having this perfect being who can see past, present, future, and all these different things. And so that's right, Haderach? Let us know in the comments how exactly you say it.
They're like the fucking CIA of the universe.
I don't know. I mean, like I think they're even more evil, right? Like, even more evil.
Well, I'm just saying about how they have spies and everything everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
They hear everything. They influence.
They have their own private language that they can... I don't think you've gotten to this part yet, but they can speak to each other, like having a conversation like we are right now, but because the way of their hands are moving, they're actually having a whole different conversation with their hands speaking over the conversation we're having right now. Pretty freaking crazy what they can do. And so you gather
witchy sign language.
His new wife, Paul's new wife that he's about to marry, Lady Airline, she's Bene Gesserit as well. Did you gather that?
Yeah.
So she's also just like his mother.
I'm using like this cheat sheet from for characters, just so whenever you say a name, I can see on IMDb which person you're talking about. So
I know that
I'm horrible with names.
Yeah, I know character names pretty well. I just, because of, I don't know, TBR or whatever it is, I draw blanks a lot. So like with Josh Brolin just now, I'm like, I know who Josh Brolin is. I could probably tell you 14 characters he plays, but when I was thinking of his name, it was like, the record was skipping. But either way.
Unless I know them for a long while, then I won't remember the actor or actress's name.
Yeah, that is part of the brain. That part of my brain is still like very honed in, like remembering that kind of stuff. But I'm, what did I eat yesterday for dinner? I don't know. I really don't actually. What did I have? Spaghetti and breadsticks. That's what I had.
Spaghetti and bread. Okay.
So what was it? Who, in your opinion, what was? Because I'm going to talk a lot, obviously, when it comes to Dune. I have a lot more screen time with it. But what was your biggest character arc? Who did you see be the one that stood out to you, and why?
I don't know. I looked for it over and over again when I rewatched it, and I honestly struggled for a bit to focus on it the second time through. I went through it the first time, great. It was new to me. Now it's not new to me, and so I was like, I don't know if I could ever watch this again.
You struggle with the rewatch on almost everything, though.
Yes, I do. I don't like to rewatch.
Yeah. Some of my favorite movies I've watched easily 100 times. Fight Club, The Beach. Those are probably the two I've probably watched more than anything. But so even though you had a little bit of jadedness going in the second time, when you were watching it the first time, what character were you most drawn to? Which character were you like, damn, that one really stood out?
I did like Josh Brolin's character.
Yeah.
He got kind of dark there for a bit.
Who's back from the dead?
Yeah. He gets, him and then Duncan Idaho, which is Jason Momoa, their characters both become very prevalent as the series, as the novels go on. It's both of them play pivotal roles.
I thought Jason Momoa's character died.
He did. But we're talking sci-fi. We're talking future. There's science out there.
Yeah, that's true. But the thing that stood out to me the most with Josh Brolin's character was he was this knight type figure.
Oh, yeah. How 100%.
Who was honor. Yep. Straight up honor. And then he had to lose some of that. He was almost like a Ronin samurai.
He becomes a Ronin.
Yeah, because when you meet him again, he's no knight.
No.
He's no knight, yeah.
He got a little darker, and I feel like the closest thing I could correlate to would be the Ronin when they lost their master.
Yeah.
No more rules. We're still following the strict code of the Ronin type stuff, but there's no master, so
yeah, I see that.
We can kind of go off on our own thing. Or damn it, what's his name? The archer dude from the MCU.
Hawkeye?
Good job, Hawkeye.
Hawkeye, yes. When he goes on his little Ronin adventure.
Oh, when he loses his family? Yeah.
Yeah.
After he loses his family, he goes very dark.
Dark days. Very dark days.
Yes. And that's kind of the same kind of vibes I got for Josh Brolin.
Yes, I can see that totally. Yeah, and I get, old school knight, no family, only sole purpose in life is protect and serve the family you're tied to. That family's gone. Yeah, you become a Ronin.
Loss of purpose.
Yeah, I can totally see what you're saying on that one. And I think if you ever get a chance, watch the 2000s run of Dune and then Children of Dune. They're back, they're a miniseries.
You keep pushing that on me.
Dude, that was my introduction to this. And so I got Dune Messiah and Children of Dune. I got the first 3 books in a few hours. I mean, each part is 3 hours long. It's like sitting down and watch Lord of the Rings all at once, but it's a lot. But worth it because you get a lot of the storyline, a lot of it, all the way up until basically the beginning of God Emperor of Dune, when things really shift and get really whoo, out there. But yeah.
So which character, in your opinion, do you think had the most positive shift or growth?
Throughout the series, which one had the most positive shift?
I'm talking Dune, Part 2, what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm asking.
Just in the movie we watched.
Just in the movie we watched. Just in this one. Can you separate it?
I can, and I don't think there was much positive growth in this one. So there's two characters that really go deep soul searching. That's Chani and Paul from the perspective we get. And both of them, I think, found themselves at the end of the movie making decisions that they were not happy with. So I'm not really sure if we've seen the positive side yet. We still have sequels to go through before we start seeing the positive side of what's happening now.
That's why I selected Josh Brolin.
Yeah.
Because he was coming out of this real darkness. Like, maybe he's not all the way there yet, obviously, but he was making a shift. Yeah. He had a spark of what his purpose used to be when he got to see, what's his face? Paul? Yeah.
Young Pop.
He had a taste of the old life that he missed. And so it's kind of bringing some things up, in my opinion, where he gets to put that whole noble aspect back on.
Yeah.
And he's starting to see the light again.
Can you see the light? Can you see the light?
In that regards, but he's still got the darkness that he's fighting that became his new habit.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can totally see that for sure. Because if you look at it, Lady Jessica went dark. Paul made some relatively bad choices that you're about to see the consequences of. Chani apparently loses her love based on those choices.
So is she gonna become like a mistress?
So in the world of Dune, it's very common. It's very common because marriages are all political. So they have children and have relationships with people they love, and then they marry for like treaties and peace and power, basically.
So it's space medieval.
Oh, very. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, do you know why Dune is the way it is? Like why it's basically set in the future, but still very, I don't know, old school, I would say? Do you like?
No.
Okay. So Dune is what, like, there's no robots, there's no AI, there's no advanced technology that is not run by humans. Do you notice that, right? There's no like computers. The reason is that there was an AI uprising. And so they had to wipe out all of the intelligence. And so now Dune is basically a world where all technology is banned because it's, it could kill us. So mentats, you meet the guy in the very first movie where like he rolls the eyes in the back of his head and he can like calculate things really fast. Do you remember that guy?
I'm not sure. I was getting lost in my brain because I was thinking of the other series that we were watching where the one AI chick, like she's the only AI. Foundation, yes. Yeah. I was thinking of that as you were talking about that. I was like, am I confusing the two at the moment?
Maybe. But there's probably butcher it, so I don't want to get too specific. If you guys know the exact story or check out the lore on Dune, this is not something that they talk about in the movies, so most people wouldn't know this. However, yeah, there's a reason why there's mentats, which are basically human computers. There's no robots. There's no, in Star Wars, there's droids. There's none of that in Dune. And the reason is because they are completely, like, they wiped it off the face of the planet, like of the universe, like completely gone. They want none of it. And then basically trained people to be human computers. They call them mentats. And you meet one of them in Atreides when the Emperor's regime showing up to tell them that they're inheriting Arrakis and they have to go basically move there. The dude who calculates how much money it costs them to fly there to tell them that, he's a mentat.
Okay, that wasn't a big detail for me, obviously.
Yeah. It's very well. They talk about it very deeply in the 2000 run, why it's important, what a mentat is. Because Duncan Idaho, I won't ruin it for you, but he gains that ability.
What a name.
Yeah, Duncan Idaho.
Come get your Dunkin' Donuts in Idaho.
Yeah. So let's talk about the one character that everyone loved who has like the shortest role. He was played by Sting in the original run of this.
Sting.
This Thade Ratha.
Which one was that?
Austin Butler.
Oh, the evil dude?
He's psycho. I wouldn't say he's evil, but he's psycho.
He's a child who acts out in pure anger, and life means nothing to him. I would define that as kind of evil. Life's got no meaning to him.
He has honor in battle. He is a product of the Bene Gesserit and the Harkonnen breeding experiments. So Paul and him are like the same. One of them was going to fail, one of them was going to succeed, right? That was like kind of the idea. Originally, though, that's the idea that comes about, because originally Paul was supposed to be a girl, and then they were supposed to get married, and that was supposed to be like what happens. That was the Bene Gesserit plan. But Jessica doesn't listen, has a boy, and then they become competition instead. So, but his character, when it comes to Dune, I can't just say good or evil, because both houses will do very evil shit to each other, just like Game of Thrones.
I was in Game of Thrones!
To get by. It's Game of Thrones in space, right? So is he psycho? Does he have a tendency for violence and murder that is like psychotic? 100%.
I would kind of define like disregard for human or alien human life, whatever you want to call it, just killing them, evil for just the fuck of it.
Okay, fair enough.
To me, that's like clear cut. You're a bad person.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. The reason again is that with Dune, there's no good guy that wouldn't do that too. Like there are good guys that will legit just kill just because, right? So,
I mean, the scene that is stuck in my brain right now is when he's getting like this dagger thing and he just stabs a wound like, the tip needs to be sharper type thing.
Yeah, just psycho, complete psychopath, disregard for life, 100%.
I think that's when I made my judgment on him right there.
Yeah.
And after that, he would have to do a whole lot before I could even shift that a little bit.
He's never going to be a morally good character. Like that was never his purpose. And I don't think you're going to find any true Harkonnen that I can remember throughout any of the movies that has like what we would consider like morality, right? Like that essence of good.
I see a bit of it in Batista. Like his acting, maybe it's just him coming through, but his acting, I see so much hesitancy and conflict when he's told he's got to do something, or he's being scolded for not getting it right and slaughtering or doing whatever. Like, I get that he does it.
Yeah.
But he looks like he struggles with it.
I think he struggles with his incompetence. I think he struggles with his, like, the guilt of failure. I don't think he struggles with the actions he's taking. I think he struggles with what's going to be the repercussions from the family he fears that he belongs to. I think that's really where it comes from. I think he's that scared of the Baron that he's remorseful that he's about to get some shit down on him.
Plus, the whole time, I can't stop thinking of him from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing, yeah. Is that it's a very different role than we're used to seeing him in. Because, you know, he is a true-blown hero when he's Drax, right? He's a Guardian of the Galaxy.
Who's a fucking idiot, but yes.
100%. Comic relief. But, you know, in this one, yeah. And in this one, he's just, you know, cold-blooded Harkonnen. So it's different, in my opinion. But I agree that someone who would just blatantly slit someone's throat or stab someone just because it's fun, that is evil. However, what I was trying to state is that there's different levels of evil because every family has a level of evil in them, and that Fade's character is psycho, like unhinged psychopath. Very different than, like you were mentioning, the Rabban? What was his character's name? Rabban? R-A-B-A-N?
R-A-B-B-A-N.
Yeah. I think it's Rabban.
Glossu
Rabban. That's how you say it. Rabban. Who?
I don't know if it's how you say it, but
I think it is.
Read it.
Now squeeze, Rabban. Squeeze hard.
Because he says it. They say it in the movie. Because he even says, Fade says to the Baron when he says, you're taking over Arrakis, he goes, you know, what the fuck is that? I already say his name. And then he says it, so.
Yeah, for me, names just go, bye.
Yeah. I'm usually good with names and faces. I can do pretty good with those. Other little details, not so good.
Cool. So, do you think there's going to be a third one?
100%.
Do you think that's going to take a million years to come out?
No, I don't. I don't think so. I think that, probably at least 2 years, because there's going to be a lot of CG. We're going off-world now. So if they play it out like they did the miniseries that launched in 2000, they're going to condense the next 2 books into one, basically, sequence. If they don't, then they're going to draw it out, and we're going to have at least 2 movies of Messiah and then 2 movies of Children before we go into God Emperor. But
what is the order timeline-wise for the story, not what came out first? Are all the books released?
They're in chronological order, yeah. They're in chronological order.
So what's the first movie? Dune.
Yeah.
Then Dune 2, then what?
So Dune and Dune 2 are just if it's a book.
Okay. And that has been released originally already.
That story has been told 3 times now.
Okay.
So in that story has been told in film 3 times now. If it's been told more, let me know. But as far as I know, it was 1984, which is the original release, 2000, which is the one I originally saw, and then the most recent one that just came out a couple of years ago. Those would be the 3 film adaptations of Dune that I know of. And then they did...
And Children of Corn.
Children of the Corn. Another
Children of Dune. Sorry, that's why I think of when I think Children of. So Children of Dune is like the last one of the series. So is that...
No, so no, it's crazy. It gets very crazy here. So there are, I believe, 6 total published works that fall into canon of the timeline. We've never seen past the 3rd one in film form, which the 3rd one is Children of Dune. I don't think we'll ever see past God Emperor of Dune in film form, because the story gets so crazy that you're going to start really losing people. However, so when I got introduced to it in 2000, it was Dune, which was the book 1, and then they had a sequel which came out, which was Children of Dune. So in my mind, not knowing the novels or anything about the storyline in the novels yet, had done no research, just watched it on TV, I thought Dune was the first one and Children of Dune was the second one. Mm-hmm. Not realizing that the whole first 3 hours of Children of Dune is actually the second book, Dune Messiah. So Dune is the story.
How long is Children of Dune?
It's awesome. Worth it. Told you, it's like sitting down and watching the Lord of the Rings trilogy. It's that epic. It's that long.
So it's a 9-hour movie?
I think each disc is 3 hours, if not, about that. Yeah.
So do you think they would have been better served if they created Dune? Because it seems to be very prevalent on the HBO. So I don't know about their agreement or whatnot, but I think they would have been better served doing it the Lord of the Rings series that they did on Amazon.
They're doing though. There is a series in the works about to be aired for Dune. Yeah.
To me, that would have been smarter. You can give people more story.
Yeah. I want to know what.
And keep them engaged for the 1 hour each week type thing, or the 44 minutes typically of an hour long show, right? It's usually like 44 minutes, right? For an hour show, because they leave room for
commercials and stuff.
Yeah. So I think they could have utilized that a little bit more and just turned it into a series. Because we all know how people are these days with binge watching.
Yeah.
But it lets people go at their own pace. Do you think that would have been a smarter play?
I think that when you do things in a series, you have the ability to flesh it out a lot more and give the hardcore fans more of the true story and story, like character arc and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I do like that. The problem with that is, we would probably be 9 years into it before we even meet Paul's kids if we did it that way. So I think...
Would we?
I think so. Because you've got 2 whole books to get through before Chani has the kids.
All right. So how long did it take to make Dune Part 1? And then how long did it take to make Dune Part 2?
Oh, now that they got the ball rolling and they got the budget going, they should be pumping one out every 2 years, is my opinion.
So you'd still get there about the same time, right?
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough.
Except we wouldn't have that huge gap of space in between.
Yeah.
So to me, logically, it'd make more sense to just do season by season and just continue doing it that way.
Yeah. I wonder, well, you know, what the difference for them is. Like a budget for a 8-episode series, like a Dune series or Lord of the Rings that has a lot of CG in it, a lot of costume, a lot of, you know, effects. What's the budget on that to run that for eight episodes compared to like a 2-hour movie? Which, you know, what would be the difference? Like, is it worth it for them?
Like, it would just be in the way that you release the content, right?
Well, I think that they do it the way they do it because they don't do it for the viewership. They do it because it's the biggest bang for their buck. I think that's why they do it the way they do it.
I'll have to ask one of my newer students. He's in production in New York City.
Yeah, that would probably be a good source to get that information.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they will have a sequel. I think we'll pick up right where we left off. We'll go right into Dune, like next book, Dune Messiah, which if it plays out like it did in the Children of Dune first disc, we'll basically pick up as the Holy War is ending. We don't go on the war with them. We basically see it as it's done, like they've won. And then the repercussions of that and how Paul deals with that. And then his, man, I don't want to ruin anything for you, but what happens to him and where, like, later on, it's pretty cool. And then hit this, obviously, Leto II. They have a son. He gets killed by the Harkonnen. And then they think they're having a daughter, end up having twins. And then he's the son, Leto II, who is played by James McAvoy. And James McAvoy plays Leto Atreides II, who becomes the God Emperor of Dune.
He is a brilliant freaking actor.
Does a phenomenal job in this role as well.
I don't know if there's anything that I've seen him in that I can think of that I have not liked.
Yeah.
I may not have liked the character itself because the character was a dick or piece of shit, but doesn't mean I didn't like him in that part.
Definitely would go see it. I'm excited. So you would not watch anything again. I would watch again. I probably will end up, owning all of these as they come out. That way we can keep on watching them.
I bought it just to watch it.
I own it as well.
No, like last night I bought it just to watch it. I paid $30 freaking just so that I could watch it for this episode.
There you go.
That's commitment.
That is commitment, dude. I bought it too, but I was going to buy it anyway, so I bought it.
I told him it wasn't.
Yeah.
I didn't even buy the first one.
Oh, I don't know.
So I only own the second one.
I think it's well done, well executed, great visuals.
The visuals were beautiful.
The fight scenes are great. And it's really, some of it will feel drawn out, I think, because they're laying so much backstory into you right now. Mm-hmm. But it will absolutely pay off over the next 2 movies. I know it will.
Oh, by the way, I know this is more of a tangent. You talked about the production value. I watched someone take Unreal Engine and recreate some of the scenes from Dune in under a half an hour.
That's insane. We're on the cusp of some greatness.
Yes. It's going to be a beautiful thing.
Yeah. All right, guys, we appreciate you coming back for another episode of the G-Spot. Always great when you find it. If you guys enjoyed us talking about Dune, let us know down in the comments. Let us know what your favorite part about today's conversation was, your favorite character. If you have any movies or TV shows you'd like for us to chat about in the future, maybe one of your favorites, let us know. We're always looking for new things to watch. We're always throwing new things at each other. And with that being said, my name is Chris, and Liam will take us out.
And we're finally going to watch a movie that we were supposed to watch this week, right?
The kids are in sports. It's hard for me to have nights to go anywhere. I got basketball until 9 p.m. But yeah, we definitely need to see Ministry, and we need to see Kingdom of Planet of the Apes came out today.
Well, damn.
So we got 2 we got to review.
Might have to watch that tomorrow.
I think we just set it up to go. Well, the kids want to go. So I think I can set it up for all of us to go.
Barbara will be here later on tonight. So,
all right. Let's plan.
She can't do Saturday, though.
Let's plan for tomorrow night.
Okay.
Yeah, let's plan for Kingdom tomorrow night. And then we can review that even if we can't see Ministry.
There we go.
Bam, plan. All right, guys, we will see you next week.